So spring is finally here, which means bear hunting is right around the corner. And like always, Brady and I go on our annual bear trip every spring up in Montana. And this year we're doing a little bit different than what we have in the past. One, we're going a lot earlier because we hate ticks. And two, it's gonna be more of a backcountry style than what we've done in the past, which is more of a truck hunting style for these bears. So this is gonna be my backcountry. It's about a 7-day hunt, black bear in Montana. We're gonna go in early May, so the temperatures are gonna be a little bit cooler. We expect a little bit more weather just because in that earlier spring in Montana, you never know what you're gonna get for temperatures. So the gear here is a little bit different than what I've had. Plus I've added some new gear to my gear list for this upcoming fall and spring. So we're just gonna dive in. We're gonna start with my First Lite clothes. And I'm gonna start with the pants since these are brand new for 2021. These are the Corgate Foundry pants. These are the prototypes. I wore them down in Arizona. Got to test them out. And these are a huge upgrade from the previous pants that First Lite used to carry. They have the side zips for venting heat. They got knee pads. They got reinforced knees, reinforced rear, waterproof, water resistant. The pocket configuration is a little bit different. Now the pockets are in the front to whereas they used to be on the side. And these are gonna be awesome for bear hunting. They're a little bit heavier, which I do expect the temperatures to be a little bit cooler since it is early May that we're gonna go on this hunt. So I'm pretty much planning on wearing these pants the whole time, the Foundry Corgate pants. And I'm gonna have the knee pads in the whole time. So I'm excited to try these pants out again and keep using them and putting them through the ringer. But like I said, these are awesome, brand new pants from First Lite, the Corgate Foundry. Excited to wear these. Then we're gonna go into kind of some of my upper layering system. Just because on bear hunts, you do have a wide variety of temperatures. Sometimes it can be 80 and the next day it's snowing. So I always like to have just a First Lite Arrow Wool Wick tee for those hotter days. Then I have, for my next layer, this is the Arrow Wool Wick quarter zip, 150. So this is kind of my cooler piece. Has vents in the pits. Pretty much wear this one all the time. Never too hot, never too cold. It's a great piece. And then if I do get some cooler temperatures, I usually throw on the quarter zip Wick, which is 200 Arrow Wool. So it's a little bit warmer than the 150 Arrow Wool that I have for the just kind of wearing around all the time piece. So those are kind of like my base layers that I'll wear for most time. And as you've noticed with these, I don't have any hoods on any of my base layers just because I feel like if I have hood on my base layers, then I'm just gonna stack up more and more hoods, especially when I have my outer shells with the hood. So that's usually where I like to keep my hoods at and nothing on my base layers. And I'm a big fan of quarter zip just to dump heat all the time. So that's usually why I'm always quarter zip, no hood on my base layers. And then over top of those, you know, just another insulating piece. I have the Catalyst First Lite vest. I am a big believer in keeping the core warm, plus you cut weight, and it's the same material as your Catalyst jacket, so it will wick rain and stuff like that. So this is kind of a good outer shell piece. It's a little bit lighter. You know, one thing I always say is that I never find myself like, oh man, my arms are cold. It's usually my core, so that's why I always go with the vest, and it cuts a little bit of weight. So going into my insulation pieces, my puffy, this is the First Lite Uncompahgre 2.0. Lightweight, great puffy, keeps you warm. Always got to have a puffy on these bear hunts. Like I said, it can definitely get cold. It's early in the spring, Montana. You never know what the weather's going to be. So I would recommend always bringing a puffy. And this puffy right here is pretty much universal, can do it all. I've been in super cold temperatures and it's been fine. So that's why I usually always go with the Uncompahgre 2.0 puffy. And I will be bringing puffy pants just because this is going to be a backcountry style hunt. And like I said, the weather's unpredictable in the spring. I always like puffy pants. It's an added comfort. It's one of those things you don't realize you need till you actually get some and use some. And you're like, damn, puffy pants are where it's at. So usually on these kind of hunts, I will bring puffy pants just for that added comfort in the backcountry. So those are kind of my insulation pieces that I'll have over the top if it does get cool. So for these spring hunts, it's always important to have rain gear. And what I've been using last year and then going into this year, I've had no problems at all. Durable vents, never been wet in them. These are the Stone Glacier M5 rain jacket and the M5 Stone Glacier rain pants. So that's what I'll have for my outer shell wind protection. And then if it does get rainy or snowy, I can always just throw that on over any of my First Light pieces to keep me dry and warm out of the wind. And in Montana, you are required to wear orange. So this is my orange vest. I tend to run hot, so I try to find like the thinnest material orange vest that I found. And this is just some cheap one I bought at Sportsman's. Nothing too fancy, just a probably like 10 bucks Sportsman's orange vest that you can have. And then one thing that's always important for these spring bear hunts, you gotta have gaiters. We do expect there still to be some snow in areas. You're gonna be going through a lot of brush and downfall, so these are the OR crocodile gaiters. I've run these for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, the same exact ones, and they are durable as it gets. I mean, the only thing I have had in there is a hole, and that's because I got too close to the fire. Got some sparks in there, but other than that, these things are money. Now kind of going into mittens. Like many of you probably know, I don't like gloves because I don't feel like they keep my hands warm. Everyone's hands are a little bit different, but mittens are usually my go-to. And for this, since it is a backcountry hunt, I went with the lighter down mittens from First Light. So these are the Brooks down mittens. Very lightweight, also warm. And then my other go-to, some just cheap Thinsulate mittens. And these are kind of the mitten gloves. So the mitten, and you flip them over and you kind of have the cutout fingers, so you do have a little more function with these for around camp, especially if I'm getting ready to shoot my gun. And it can be a mitten. They're really warm. I bought these off Amazon, I think. Very cheap, just some wool. Don't get them wet though. That's the trick with these. You get them wet, they might stay wet for a little while, but other than that, durable, great mittens to have. And then socks. So for my socks, I usually just do Darn Tough socks, nothing too crazy. I think these are the boot cushion. And then with that, I am trying out some new boots. I'm new boot goofing, you know that. I'm always new boot goofing. So for the new boots I'm gonna be trying out, haven't worn them yet, just got them. These are Honglog Makra Trek, brand new. We're gonna give them a whirl. These are a Flex 3. That's usually my kind of range I like to have, not too stiff, but not too flexible, right in the middle of the road. And we're gonna give them a whirl. So here's the new boots I'll be wearing this spring and then probably into the fall. So that's basically all my clothes that I will be bringing on this spring black bear hunt. Now we're kind of gonna dive into my sleep system and then kind of rolling down the line, the weapon and all that good stuff. So for sleep system, my favorite is the Sky Air ULT with the mesh insert. One reason to bring the mesh insert on these spring hunts is ticks. You can run this as a tarp, but like we have found on these spring black bear hunts, you will have a ton of ticks on you. So I recommend if you are gonna run this ULT setup, bring the mesh insert so then you can go into your sleeping quarters and you don't have to worry about ticks getting on you at night because it'll keep all those ticks out with the mesh insert and the floor that it comes with. I've run this for a couple years now, super lightweight. All you need is 2 trekking poles. You can set it up fast. I've been in all sorts of storms. It's held up and it's my go-to sleeping shelter. So that's the Stone Glacier ULT with the mesh insert, the vestibule, and the tarp on the top. Sleeping bag, I use the same one pretty much for every single hunt. This is the Stone Glacier Chilkoot. This is the 15 degree. And I've never once gotten cold in this thing. Even in the coldest temperatures, have yet to get cold. And it seems to be not super hot where if it does get a little bit warmer, I just have it unzipped. And it's my go-to. Also, with this sleeping bag, this will probably be the most comfortable sleeping bag you sleep in. because the shoulder girth, it's super wide. So you can have room in there to roll around. I get kind of claustrophobic in some mummy style sleeping bags. And this one seems to be the most comfortable if you are kind of a side sleeper or if you tend to roll around a lot, and still lightweight at the same time. And then for stuff sack, so this is the 15-degree Chilkoot. And for the stuff sack, I use the Sea Summit, and this is a medium. And this will fit that Stone Glacier sleeping bag in there. I do get a lot of questions all the time. What size stuff sack do you use for that Chilkoot? This is a medium. I'm not for sure on the exact liters of it, but that'll stuff that whole entire sleeping bag in there. Plus you have the compression straps to really get it down to a smaller size, so it's a lot more packable inside your pack. And then the trekking poles I'll bring, these are the Leike Legacy Ultralight. I'm not a huge trekking pole guy. I don't tend to use them that often. Usually if I'm using them, it's to set up my tarp, or if I'm packing out, they're always nice to have on a heavy pack. But for the most part, I'm not using these too much. And if I am, I'm using just one of them. So I'm not too particular on my trekking poles. But if I do want some, I do like the lighter version. So these tend to be my go-to for that. And then the sleeping pad. The sleeping pad I'm running is a Thermarest NeoAir. So it's kind of that in-between. It can go for spring hunts, into fall hunts, even to a little bit into your late season hunts. Lightweight, durable. I've popped a lot of pads last year, and this one, for some reason, doesn't seem to pop. So that's the Thermarest NeoAir go-to sleeping pad that I use almost year round with that one. So that's the reason I kind of like this one, just kind of do it all, don't have to worry about it. And then the stakes. I kind of have an assortment of stakes as I've collected them throughout the years and I've lost them throughout the years. So I have some Stone Glacier stakes in here. I have some MSR mini groundhog stakes. And then I have a couple Hilleberg stakes. But always have some stakes. I usually bring a couple extra just in case I lose one or break one. You never know. So that's why I always bring a couple extra stakes for this SkyAir ULT setup. And then, gotta have a pillow, man. If you don't have a pillow, you're missing out. I know there's a lot of people out there that, you know, just use their down to sleep on. But for me, that added comfort in the backcountry is a must, and sleep is super important to me. You gotta stay rested. So when you wake up, you can hunt hard. So that's why I always bring the Klymit pillow, extra large. I got a big head, lightweight. Look how tiny that thing is. So pillow for backcountry hunts. If you don't have one, I recommend getting one. So something new that I'm bringing this year for this bear hunt that we tried out last year on our black bear hunt is this Hillsound BTR chair. This is the 14-inch. It's right around 12 ounces. Very packable, lightweight, comfortable. Bear hunting, you're always glassing. You're glassing maybe 8 hours a day. Especially up in Montana, the daylight doesn't get dark till about 11. So it's always nice to have a little bit added comfort when you're glassing. Plus, it keeps you off the ground so you don't get as many ticks on you. That's another added benefit with this chair. And it's barely anything in your pack. And just something nice and comfortable to have that we've come to find is kind of a must for these spring black bear hunts. So now kind of going into my water filtration. So what I usually run, I got the Platypus 3-liter zip. I always prefer, especially on backcountry hunts, the 3-liter over like the 1 or the 2, just because when I'm out water, I don't know where I'm gonna get water somewhere else, but when I'm out water, I wanna get as much as possible. So that's why I usually go with the 3-liter. And that's just the Platypus, big zip, nothing too crazy. And then something I'm gonna try out new this year. I've tried them before with other guys that I've hunted with, like Trail. He uses this all the time, and I just actually bought this. It's the Micro Squeeze. So basically what it is it comes with a little bag. You fill up water in the bag, you hook it up to this filter, and then you just squeeze out the water. And it seems to work pretty good, and it's always nice to have a little added filter, because other than that I use drops. So if I do come across some like really dirty water, and I don't feel like, you know, just dropping it out and waiting for 15 minutes, I can just quickly use this squeeze. So that's kind of why I'm gonna go with the micro squeeze, and it's light. I think this thing is 2 ounces, so it's very lightweight. So that's the new filter I'm gonna be using. And then, like I said, I always use the Aquamira drops. You know, you can never go wrong with the drops. You have the two-piece solution here, if I can find it in my bag. Part A, part B. You do, I think it's 7 drops each per liter. The only downfall with these is you do have to wait a little bit once you mix it. Depending on how cold the water is, you have to wait like up to 20 minutes to let it mix. So that's usually why I like to have a filter. Plus, if I am in some really like brown, dirty water, I don't feel like having a bunch of, you know, stuff in my water, I'll have the micro squeeze to filter that out too. But the drops, can never go wrong with them. So since I'm kind of digging in this bag, this is the Mr. Ranch Zoid bag. And basically what I have in here is kind of my miscellaneous stuff. So I have my headlamp. This is the Petzl Actic. And then my backup headlamp, this is the Black Diamond Spot. The reason I like the Petzl Actic is it's just 3 settings. Just 1, 2, 3. Nothing too crazy. The thing with some of these Black Diamonds is you can get all sorts of crazy settings. They seem to burn battery a little bit faster, so I have it as my backup. This Petzl Actic, I've hardly ever changed the batteries. It's simple, 3 settings. Just click it 3 times if you want brighter. So it's just an easy headlamp and my go-to. Other stuff I have in here, I got the Dark Energy Poseidon Charger. So that's for my Garmin InReach that I always carry with me to charge that, plus my phone where I have my maps on there. It's a good thing to always have. I got my charge cord for the Garmin InReach Mini. I got some toilet paper. And then I just kind of have this baggie that's got some more miscellaneous stuff. I have an Allen wrench, and that's for all my sizes, for all my plates on all my tripods and my optics. I got some chapstick. I got an extra rangefinder battery, and I got a couple AAA batteries in here for my headlamps just in case they go out. And then I have a lens cloth in there too, just to keep things clean if I get them dirty. So that's usually what I keep in my Zoid bag. Also, I have the Medical Kit 5, and I put some stuff in there too. I have some like ibuprofen, bandages, all that good stuff in the medical kit, just in case we do run into any problems. So that's usually what I keep in my Zoid bag. Now kind of going into my cook system. I've been using this since last year. This is the Seek Outside Titanium Bale Pot. And then with that, for my stove, this is the Soto Windmaster. It has an igniter and it has a regulator. Very lightweight. I used to be a Jetboil guy. I've switched over to this. This setup's a little bit lighter, plus there's a little bit more functions to it. The stove works great. Like I said, it comes with the igniter, so if you did lose your lighter, you still have that kind of as a backup. And you have a regulator, so you can simmer it down. And then the Seek Outside, this titanium pot, you know, it can function as a pot, so you could cook something in this as well. And then you also, it has the handles right here, so you could use that as a mug, you know, if you're gonna drink your coffee out of. So I like the functions of that. And then with that, it comes with this carry case, and it all fits nice like you saw inside this carry case. And if I do have a smaller propane tank, it will fit in there as well. But since this is a spring black bear hunt, I tend to drink more coffee since I'm sitting around a lot more just glassing. So that's why I go with the bigger Jetboil propane tank than if I were going like a elk hunt where I know I'm just boiling once a day, because I'll probably boil a couple times a day. So this usually will do me good for about 7 days. And then always, gotta have the Thermarest Z seat. Use it for glassing, sitting down, have it at camp to put your feet on. It's just kind of a little added comfort, lightweight. It's a must. It's a must. Get a Thermarest Z seat. I promise you, you'll like one. Or you can just cut one up like Brady does. He has an old Thermarest pad that he cut up. But these are really nice, especially around camp and glassing, you know. So now we'll go kind of into my optics I'll bring on this hunt. So the tripod, I've been using this one for years. This is the Suru, however you want to say it. There's different, it's tough to pronounce. Cody Nelson has the exact name for this. I call it Suru. This is the T1204SK, so this is going to be a little bit beefier one, which I like. You know, you're going to have a little more stabilization for your optics, and then always the Suru V5 head on top. And like I said, it is a little bit heavier, it is a little bit beefier, but if you're worried about wind blowing around your optics, especially if you're using bigger spotting scope, this thing right here can handle it. And one thing to mention, if you like to stand in glass, depending on how tall you are, it doesn't go that high to stand up and glass behind. You can, if you have an angle spotter, you kind of have to duck down into it a little bit. But for the most part, this tripod is for if you're planning on sitting and glassing a lot, which I plan on doing with my brand new chair that I got. So that's why I always run this tripod. And then start with my binos. Like I said, on these hunts, you're glassing all the time. That's the name of the game of black bear hunting. Find a spot, glass. So for that, I will go with the 12x50s. These are the Vortex UHD 12x50s. Just a little bit added magnifications over my 10s. And then always I have the Vortex uni adapter, and then I have just a Arca Swiss plate on that attached. And I keep that all attached as one. Don't have any problems sliding in and out of my marsupial. And the marsupial, to fit the 12x50 UHDs, you're gonna need a large. These UHDs are a little bit bigger optics. So this is a large marsupial. And then I have a wind checker, but can't go wrong with that setup. And then for my spotting scope, I tend to go a little bit smaller on my spotting scope just to save a little bit of weight. So this is the Vortex Razor 65. So the zooms on that is 22 to 48. Seems to get the job done. And then like always, I have the Arca Swiss plate on that already. So what makes it easy, I have plates on all my optics, so I never have to take any on or off, and I can just move from one to the other, sliding it on and off my tripod over there. And then I also have this little cover that comes with it, the Vortex cover. I used to have a sock on my old one, but I upgraded. I got this nice cover. I decided I better start keeping my optics a little bit cleaner. You know, so it just makes it easy to put stuff over, protect your glass a little bit better. And then with that, I have my phone scope adapter. I usually keep this on all the time, never take it off. And it's not too bad to get that over the top of that, just so I can get some phone scope footage. So that's the spotting scope I'll take. And Brady's bringing the BTX, so I'm not worried. So that's why I have the 65. And if I do get tired, maybe Brady will let me use the BTX that he's bringing. And then my rangefinder. So I forgot my rangefinder today. I have it with me all the time. I shoot my bow a lot, but as you can see, it's not in my bino harness. I just use a Leupold RX 1500 rangefinder. That's usually my rifle rangefinder, but I have it with my archery stuff because I was shooting my bow this morning. But that's the rangefinder I'll use for that. So my optics, nothing too crazy. I feel like that should get the job done for pretty much anything I can do. All of them are pretty easy to sit behind in glass, because that's the name of the game for black bear hunting. Glass, 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 and glass some more. My kill kit. I have a pretty simple kill kit. I got my tags in here. I have just a little Smith sharpener. And then I have the Havlon. And then I also have a couple extra blades in there just in case I break them. And it seems, for the most part, I always used to bring a couple other knives, but for the most part, it seems like I use the Havlon the whole entire time. So that's usually my go-to. So a new knife I've been trying out, this is the Outdoor Edge Razor Light EDC. And a couple reasons I like this knife is with these Outdoor Edge blades, they're a little bit thicker and a lot more durable than the Havlon 60A blades. So that's kind of why I have this. And also it's really easy to change your blades. There's just this button on the side. You just push it, your blade pops out, and you just slide it back in, it clicks in. Also, I kind of like it's kind of like a pocket knife function. It's got a thing for you can put on your pants. And these blades are definitely thicker and more durable. This is more similar to like a fixed blade knife that you would have, but with this, you're getting a little bit lighter weight than a normal fixed blade. So I've been trying that out. I've liked it so far. And I usually just bring about 3 extra blades from Outdoor Edge on that one. And I'll usually use, like for this knife, since it is the thicker blades, it's gonna be for my tougher cuts. You know, if I'm working around bone, I'll tend to use this blade over the Havalon. And then always, I have a marker, a little Sharpie to write on my tags. Then I have some Tenacious tape wrapped around that. And then gotta have some electrical tape. You never know what you're gonna use this tape for, but it's always good to have. And then usually I do like to have some sort of like plastic sheet, just so for when you're cutting up meat, you have something to lay the meat on instead of just putting it on a log or on the ground. So I usually will bring a plastic sheet just to have something to put my meat on while I'm cutting it up. So that's my kill kit, pretty simple. Now going over to the gun, the big dog. This is the same gun I've been using for quite a few years. This is the Browning McMillan Long Range 300 Win Mag. I got the Hatch Out West bipod. People ask me all sorts of questions on this. Very easy to use, super versatile. It extends to all sorts of different lengths depending on what situation you're shooting it at. So it can go pretty long, so if you do need to be like on your knees, you can still have your bipod. And that's basically the main reason why I like this Hatch Out West, is there's so many different situations when you're out in the field and you're about to shoot something that you need to accommodate for. And this bipod right here, from what I've found, it can pretty much do them all. So that's why I like the Hatch Out West, for all the versatility that it offers. And then this is a cheek piece that we put on. This is a Hawkeye Custom Kydex cheek piece. And main reason to have that is just so I have a better level into my scope, because I do have a 20 MOA rail on here, so it's a little bit higher. And that just gives me more consistent view, and just always in the same spot every time, help with those longer range shots. And then the scope I have on here, this is the VX3i Long Range. This is 8.5 to 25. So it is a big dog. And 8.5 to 25 by 50. And that's the Leupold VX3i. And then always, got this from Brady, got to have a level on your rest. And that's mostly for those longer shots. You want to make sure your gun's not canted, because that will affect your impact. But yeah, that's basically the same. I've been running this gun for a long time. And it's one of those things, like, you got it dialed. You don't want to go to a different gun. It shoots perfect. I know exactly what it's going to do. And then I usually just have my sheet on here with my MOA dials on there. And then the bullets I shoot some pretty big bullets. These are the Hornady Precision Hunter ELDX. These are 200 grain bullets. They bring that smack down. I don't want to do any tracking when I shoot that thing. I want it to fall right away. And this gun, from what I've found, I've shot a couple different types of grains out of this gun, this 300 Win Mag, and it seems to like these 200 grain ELDX bullets, so I just keep shooting them. Always got to have some ear protection. I like to just wear this around my neck while I'm hunting, and then hopefully I put them on. I've yet to have these things on when I shoot, but I'm trying to change that so I can still hear when I'm old. But yeah, I usually just have these on while I'm hunting. Doesn't bother me too much. But I'm not very good at putting them on before the shot. It seems like I'm always scrambling, so I never have time, or I guess I don't think about putting these on, but hopefully I can change that. And then, like always, I have the gun slicker. I usually have this on my gun at all times as I'm walking around, just to keep any debris out of my gun, keep my scope from getting banged around, keep that nice and clean. As you can see, it's been through some brush. I think this was when I was in Montana going through some thick stuff. So just added protection for my gun, plus it's waterproof. I always have this on my gun at all times. So that's the Gunslicker, and also we have some Go Hunt logo on there. So that's my weapon I'll be taking. Game bags, Caribou game bags. I have 3 here. These are the smaller ones. Surprisingly, you look at a bear, you're like, oh, bears are kind of big. But when you start cutting them up, there's not a lot of meat on those bears. The quarters are fairly small. Probably the biggest thing you'll carry is going to be the hide and the head. So I do go with the smaller game bags. I have 3 of them here, just to kind of show you the size of them. I like the ones that are a little bit thinner too, width-wise, just so it keeps everything in line with your backpack. Sometimes if you have the wider bags, the meat kind of gets splayed out and you kind of get a bad ride when you're packing out meat. So those are the game bags I'll be taking. And then last but not least, my pack. So the pack that I'll be running on this hunt, this is the Sky Archer Stone Glacier 6900, and I will be running it without the lid. I have plenty of room in there. And the reason I like this pack so much for these type of hunts, whether it's mule deer or black bear, like those hunts that you tend to be glassing a lot and you have a spotting scope, is that there is a built-in spotting scope pocket on the side. So you can have your spotting scope inside there, easy access. And then I run a medium belt on this, but yeah, I run this pack pretty much all the time. And as you can see, even if you don't have it fully loaded down, that it can get pretty compact with all these buckles. But yeah, Stone Glacier. The reason I usually like the Stone Glacier over at PAX is I'm not huge on a bunch of different buckles or pockets. This is kind of a minimalist pack. Nothing too crazy. Buckles where you need them, pockets where you need them, but nothing overdone or too much. And it's also lightweight. So that's a pack I'll be taking on this hunt. So that is all the gear that I'll be taking on my spring black bear hunt in Montana this year. Like I said, it's a backcountry style hunt. It's a little hunt, shed hunt, black bear hunt. Put that on your list. It's a fun hunt. It's a little bit more chill than most of the hunts. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe. Just do me a favor. Go there, hit that button, subscribe to our YouTube channel.